Welcome back, everybody, for this special edition of Big Wizard Racing Presents Painting with Patterns. You can find these videos on Big Wizard TV, my YouTube channel. Make sure you give me a like there on the bottom and subscribe if you want to see some more. You can always throw out some suggestions of what you'd like to see out here with painting with patterns. I am going to pretty well stick with the patterns, though. I'm not really a custom painter. I don't really have that talent with the brush versus the mouse versus a painting pad or drawing pad, but I love working with these patterns that iRacing has put out there for us. And with the GIMP software, I've learned quite a bit over the last 8 or 10 months I've been doing this, and love to share it. And as I continue to learn and get some ideas, I'll bring them out to you. This week, or this episode of our Painting with Patterns, I'm going to talk a little bit this is kind of like a bonus round. I talked about patterns and working with logos and different things. Well, every once in a while you find these super finds, I call them. They're just too good to be true. There's something out there that you find that's just really, really cool. And here's one that I located recently. It's called shadows. And people say that you don't need the shadow layers anymore, the metallic layers anymore, because iRacing has implemented the spec map. But I disagree with that statement. I think every time you find a tool and every time you find something that enhances what you're doing on your paint, it's definitely worth sharing and worth using. So we're going to jump in. We'll go back to our Sunoco Chevy Camaro here from our NASCAR Cup Series. And I'm going to add a special layer that I found. Now, this is something I found out on just kind of out on the internet. The iRacing forums have some links to some of them. You can find them for some cars. I've only found about maybe 10 cars total out of the who knows how many that iRacing has out there that actually have these shadow layers. And some of them work really, really good. And some of them are so-so. The NASCAR ones are incredible. I wanted to show you this on this Chevy Camaro. First, let's do the before. Go out here to iRacing. This is our Camaro as we cruise around. It's actually turned out a little better than I anticipated, so looks pretty good. You can see the nice layer between the teal and the kind of like a raspberry color there in the back. Some decent coloration on there, good stripes, good logo placement. It's actually not something too far off. Probably put something here on the high quarter panel, maybe a name or team name or something. But not too far off from something you'd find out there today in racing. So anyway, let me show you what happens after we put this layer on. So we're going to go over to GIMP and we're going to open this layer up. But before we do that, we're going to open it in somewhere controlled. Okay, I do my pre-mades, my logos, my base paints, and then I turn off the patterns once I'm done. Right above base paints, I'm going to drop in a new layer. Okay, now this obviously didn't do it the way I wanted, but I can drop it, move it around. I want it out there. Okay, I'm going to call this layer the shadow layer. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and open this thing. I'm going to open this and I save this. This is the metallics. This is Chevy Camaro metallics for the Gen 6 Camaro. And I will open that up. And it's going to convert it. I'll stick it inside this shadow folder for me. You see it just really messed up the paint. That's okay. We'll take off that layer. And you can kind of see the effect of what it's going to do. Here in this spot, you can't really see the paint we did. You can just see the layers. So I'm going to move some things around and make this work here. And it might take me a minute to figure this out. Okay, that's part of it. And then I think I had to move this out here. There we go. Okay. So all I'm taking here is this metallics group, this grouping of metallics. Okay, we're going to turn off these other shadow items. They really didn't help me that much on this car, but Let me show you what this does when we turn this on and off. Here's the metallics layer on, and there's the metallics layer off. Now this actually looks pretty good because this is what we have on our car right now. It doesn't look too bad. But let me show you what it does when we turn this metallics layer on. Okay, you can see that it's on. And then we're going to export this out to the car. And then we're going to pop it into iRacing and do a refresh on this. Okay. Notice the highlights, the fender edges, the front of the car, these little areas here. This really takes the car and defines its shape better. These shadow layers I found are really a really great enhancement. So let me turn it off again, and I'll send it out to the car and show you again kind of what it looks like, because it's kind of hard to tell. But let's see. Control R. Okay, you see how the front, right here, this front fender, it's defined, but when we turn this shadow layer back on, it's very highly defined metallics layer. And they have metallics. That's why everybody says you don't need them, because they have metallics in iRacing. But those things, I've never been able to get a spec map to do this. Forgot to export it out to the car. It makes it a little different. Now, I'm sure there are those people out there that can make these kinds of things happen with spec maps, but I am not one of them. And finding this little gem was definitely something I wanted to share. So if you can find them, the metallics layers, very powerful layer, nice tool, nice effect. If you could make these yourself, I suppose you'd be, a rocket scientist in your own right. But you can definitely see what it does to just the plain car and the metallic car. So let me show you what it does here. We'll send this one out without our fancy paint on it, and I'll show you what the difference is. So you can see the definition on the hood, right? The edges. And if we go back and take that layer off and send it out to the car, all those extra little pieces and parts are not there. Okay, it looks good. It's not like it looks bad, but that metallic layer just looks so much better. So I wanted to share. It's always good to share the good stuff you find. So hopefully that one will give you a hand. I will try to. You need to use these by permission, or pay the guy with PayPal to use these shadow layers. They do post them out there for free, but it is a courtesy to send them a couple bucks for using their tools. But what an excellent tool and way to paint up your car. So hope you have fun with that, and we'll catch you on the next one. As always, have fun racing and keep the wheels on the bottom.